How you doing, guys, and welcome to another video where I'll be taking a look at the second game available on the PlayStation Plus June 2018 program. The second game, of course, being Trials Fusion. Now, Trials Fusion came out on the PlayStation 4 in April 2014. It is the fifth game in the Trials series. However, this game is the first game that is actually available on a PlayStation platform. Now, Trials Fusion is a platform racing game which basically involves you getting from point A to point B. The only problem with this is that the majority of the courses are littered with all these extremely difficult obstacles. Now, throughout the majority of the races you will be riding a motorbike. However, there are some levels that do change to, say, a quad bike, for example. There's also a bunch of different vehicles that you can ride. Now, the reason the obstacles in the level can be extremely difficult is because this racing game relies very heavily on a physics-based system. You have to constantly keep shifting your weight from forward to backwards to perfectly optimize the bike, when it's going to land, how it's going to jump up in the air. You have to constantly keep managing your speed. Do you choose to go fast but in the risk that you may fall off, or do you slow down in the risk that you may not make the jump? It's all things that you have a split second to decide, because the levels themselves aren't actually that long and most of them can be completed in under a minute. The problem with that, of course, is that it doesn't really give you much time to make any decisions. They all have to be made split second. As I've already said, the levels themselves are pretty short. However, the good news is there's a fair decent amount of levels on offer. The majority of the levels, as I've said, involve you getting from point A to point B, and the time in which you do this will determine whether you get a bronze, silver, gold, or even a platinum medal. Of course, on every single level there are optional challenges. Now, these optional challenges completely vary based on the level. Some of the optional challenges could involve going from the very start of a track to the very end without letting go of the accelerator button once. Another challenge could be doing a certain number of flips while you're in the air per level. Another one could be to find a hidden switch that would catapult you up into the air. All the challenges are very nice and varied, and I do like that. It definitely encourages replayability. Of course, that replayability relies solely on if you actually have the patience for this game. And what that basically means is that this game can be extremely difficult depending on your skill level. I think it's safe to say that the majority of players who aren't the full-blown Trials experts are going to be falling off and crashing a hell of a lot of times, and this can be incredibly frustrating if you find yourself doing it over the same part over and over again and you honestly don't know what you're doing wrong. It can be incredibly frustrating. The good news, of course, is that there's pretty much, as soon as the race starts, no loading screens of this. Throughout the race you'll come across checkpoints, and if you press the circle button then you will immediately restart the race at the closest checkpoint that you just activated. Not to mention that if you press the right button on the touchscreen then you won't start back at the nearest checkpoint, but instead you will fully restart the race, and I kind of prefer it this way. Yes, I'm sure that the game would be easier if you just keep restarting at checkpoints, but as I've said, the levels themselves aren't really that long, so I found myself enjoying it much more when every time I fell off my bike, I was just restarting the whole level, trying to outdo my score. Another thing that I really like about this is that if you are connected online and you have friends available who are also playing this game, then their ghost will be constantly following you around on the screen. It's really fun. For example, I've got a friend right here who I was trying to beat, and sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. I could constantly see his ghost either going faster than me or slower than me. I could constantly see his ghost either jumping higher than me or doing something that I had no idea how he did. It definitely encourages you to really push yourself and try and do stuff that you didn't even know you could do the first time you tried to take on this level. As well as the main campaign, there's also a track editor mode which allows players to create their own courses and games. Trials Fusion also features a multiplayer mode but wasn't added until 2015. In the multiplayer mode, it allows up to 8 players to race on different tracks, and this of course will encourage a lot of replayability. It goes without saying that this, like pretty much all racing games, definitely encourages you to try and beat your friends. I suppose in that respect it's very similar to the Ghost system that I already explained, but obviously from a live point of view. Now, in between the races there are some customizable options, but not really that many. The majority of the customizable options involve changing the colour of your bike, or the kind of rims you have on your wheels, and various different things like that. And don't get me wrong, it is nice to create a sort of wacky crazy bike with all different colours, but performance wise you can't really do anything. What you can do, however, is the further you progress in the game and the more medals you unlock, you can actually unlock different bikes, and these bikes all have different feelings. For example, you could have a bike that is really fast but is quite difficult to control, or you could have a bike that is incredibly easy to control and incredibly light, but at the same time doesn't really go that fast. It's completely up to you, which again encourages replayability. And I think that's really the main point about this game. Yes, I suppose if you was to go from start to finish like some of the experts do without failing once, then this game could probably be completed in probably an hour, maybe even less. But of course the replayability keeps you coming back time and time again. Yes, this is a really difficult and in times outright frustrating game. The further along the levels you get, the more and more difficult the levels become, to the point where I would imagine some people will be pulling their hair out because they cannot just get past a certain part. But that's one of the things that makes this game fun. There's always been a fan base for difficult games out there, and this is no different. There is also a bunch of DLC for this game. Some of the DLCs include extra tracks, others include extra customizable options, whereas others just include different skins. Unfortunately though, if you have downloaded this game through PlayStation Plus, the DLC does not come included. However, if it does interest you, you can always pay for it and see how you go from there. Now, I really like this game. It's definitely frustrating, but at the same time it's fun. And even though I found myself absolutely screaming at my TV on more than one occasion, I still found myself just instantly pressing the touchpad and instantly restarting the race just so I could give it another go, just so I could try and see if I could do it. It's that addictive. So yeah guys, if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you can download this game right now as part of the June 2018 PlayStation Plus lineup of games. It's not one of those games that really pulls you in. It's not one of those games that has a really strong story or really strong characters. It's not one of those games that's probably going to win any kind of Game of the Year awards. However, what it is a genuinely fun game that can be picked up and played for as long or as little as you want. Whether that just be for a few minutes or the whole day, it's completely up to you. So yeah guys, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.
Yourself properly to prevent a crash.